Welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Aparna, working as scientist in MFPI Food Quality Control Laboratory, Professor Jaishankar, Telangana State Agricultural University, Hyderabad. Today we will learn about food extrusion. Food extrusion is one of the new technologies which is used and applied for processing certain kinds of foods. It is a process by which a set of mixed ingredients are forced through an opening in a perforated plate or die with a design specific to the food and is then cut to a specified size by blades. The machine which forces the mix through the die is an extruder, and the mix is known as the extrudate. The extruder consists of a large rotating screw tightly fitting within a stationary barrel, at the end of which is the die. Extrusion enables mass production of food via a continuous efficient system that ensures the uniformity of the final product. Food products manufactured using extrusion usually have a high starch content. These include products like pasta, breads like crotons, breadsticks, flatbreads, etc. Then we also have other extruded products like breakfast cereals, ready-to-eat snacks, confectionery products, pre-made cookie doughs, some kinds of baby foods, and full-fat soy foods, texturized vegetable protein foods, few kinds of beverages, and some dry and semi-moist pet foods. Apart from that, there are many other cold extruded and hot extruded products which have come into the market, and there is a lot of consumer acceptance for the extruded products. Let us now try to learn about the types of extrusion. Coming to the types of the extrusion, there are basically two types of extrusion. The first one is cold extrusion and the second one is hot extrusion. Cold extrusion mixes and shapes the foods such as biscuit, dough, pasta, etc. without cooking them. Then we have the second category of extrusion, that is hot extrusion or extrusion cooking, in which you can produce a wide variety of products including crisp snack foods, sugar confectionery, soy-based weaning foods, etc., which more or less do not require any kind of cooking. Both of these, cold extrusion and hot extrusion, use equipment known as an extruder. And this equipment has a screw which is present inside the barrel that conveys the material along the barrel and kneads the food into a semi-solid plasticized mass. And in cold extrusion, the material is not heated up but simply formed into different kinds of shapes as the die gives. You have shapes like rods, tubes, strips, shells, etc. and you can change the shapes by using different kinds of dies and die dimensions. And when the mass is forced through the opening in the die at the discharge end of the barrel, you get different kinds of shapes to the cold extruded products. In extruder cookers, the material is heated by friction or by supplementary heaters which are present in the barrels, and it emerges from the die under high pressure. Some snack food products expand rapidly when they emerge from the die. Cold extruded products are always preserved by chilling, baking or drying, whereas extrusion cooking or hot extrusion destroys the contaminating microorganisms, and the dry products have got a relatively high shelf life because of very less amount of moisture and very low water activity. Cold extruders are suitable for all scales of operations from household to small scale. But extruder cookers or hot extruded products are much expensive and are likely to be only affordable by large scale producers. Now let us go into the details of each of these extrusion process individually. The first one is cold extrusion. The main application of cold extruders is in pasta production. Although similar machines are used from biscuit dough into different shapes, a pasta extruder is used to make many different types of pasta using dough from the durum wheat or from the semolina, and eggs, which is an option. Colored pasta can also be made by adding tomato puree and spinach paste, etc. You can also add isolated colors and flavors to the mix and get different kinds of pasta extruded through the cold extrusion process. Different sizes of equipment are available, from small manual machines that are used in micro-scale productions and food service outlets to large electric machines. The equipment has a mixing chamber, extruder barrel and a die to get the desired pasta shape. There is a debate over the best material for the dies, with some equipment manufacturers using stainless steel or plastic and others preferring bronze dies, which they claim impart a very rough surface to the pasta that holds the sauce better than the pasta made by the other methods. Shapes are cut to appropriate length as they emerge from the die, except rigatoni, which is extruded in long lengths and then cut into the correct size. Then you have the pasta, which is cooked immediately in the food service outlets like hotels or etc. Or in other cases it is dried by the processors for retail sales. It can be also frozen up to 6 months. Then after understanding the cold extrusion, you have hot extrusion process. And extruder cookers are used for hot extrusion. Here you have either single screw extruders or twin screw extruders. Twin screw machines have approximately twice the capital and maintenance cost of single screw machines and are unlikely to be affordable by most small scale processors as compared to a single screw extruder. Two factors that control the type and quality of the foods that are produced by hot extrusion are the operating conditions in the extruder barrel and the mixture of ingredients that is used. Let us now try to understand the operating conditions and process of extrusion. Coming to the operating conditions and process of extrusion, the important operating conditions are the temperature and pressure in the barrel, the diameter of the die aperture, and the product shear rate. The shear rate is influenced by the speed and geometry of the screw. The size, number, pitch, diameter of the flights also have got an influence on the shear rate of the machine. The shear rate is also influenced by the internal design of the barrel, which includes the grooves in the barrel or restrictions, which are also known as throttle rings, kneading discs or shear locks. Additionally, heating may be provided by a steam jacketed barrel, a steam heated screw or electric heating elements which are present around the barrel. You also have different heating zones in the barrel. High shear extruders have high screw speeds and shallow flights to create the high pressures and temperatures which are needed to make the expanded products. Medium shear extruders are used to make texturized proteins and semi-moist food materials. Then you have the third category, that is the low shear extruders, and these low shear extruders have a deep flighted screw that operate at low speeds in a smooth barrel to create low pressure for forming meat products or gums. High shear products examples are something like your kurkure, etc. Medium shear products are something like your soy meat, the texturized soy protein which is used as a meat analog. Then a low shear extruded are your chewing gums. The selection of correct type of extruder for a particular application should take account of the types of ingredients and the properties which are required in the product. For example, bulk density, the texture, color, sensory properties of the end products which are required are to be carefully considered. Dies have got different shaped holes. For example, you have round holes to produce rods, square holes to produce bars, or slots to produce sheets. So different kinds of shaped holes are present in the dies and they produce different complex shapes to the products. The temperature and moisture content of the food and the extent of shearing in the barrel control the amount of expansion of the product and hence its texture also. Some products require the dies to be heated to give the desired degree of expansion, whereas others have cooled dies to reduce the expansion. There are therefore a very large number of potential combinations of equipment design features, and small scale processors should seek advice from the extruder manufacturers before purchasing a machine. In the extrusion process, raw materials are first ground to the correct particle size, usually the consistency of a coarse flour. The dry mix is passed through a preconditioner in which other ingredients are added depending on the target product. These may be liquid sugars, fat, dyes, meat or water. Steam is then injected to start the cooking process and the preconditioning mix, that is the extruded, is then passed through an extruder. The extruder consists of a large rotating screw tightly fitting with a stationary barrel at the end of which is the die. The extruder's rotating screw forces the extruded towards the die through which it passes. The amount of time the extrudate is in the extruder is called as the residence time or the residual time. The extruder product usually puffs and changes the texture as it is extruded because of the reduction of the forces and release of moisture and heat. The extent to which it does so is known as the expansion ratio. The extrudate is cut to desired length by blades at the output of the extruder, which rotate about the die openings at a specified speed. The product is then cooled and dried, becoming rigid while maintaining the porosity. The cooking process takes place within the extruder where the product produces its own friction and heat due to the pressure generated, which is around 10 to 20 bars. The process can induce both protein denaturation and starch gelatinization depending on the inputs and the parameters of the raw materials, preconditioning, the barrel temperatures, pressure, etc. Many food extrusion processes involve a high temperature over a short time. Important factors of the extrusion processes are the composition of the extrudate, screw length, rotating speed, barrel temperature, moisture and die shape, and the rotating speed of the blades. These are controlled based on the desired product to ensure the uniformity of the output. Moisture is the most important of all these factors and affects the mix viscosity, acting to plasticize the extrudate. Increasing moisture will always decrease the viscosity, torque and product temperature and increases the bulk density of the product. This will also reduce the pressure at the die. Most extrusion processes for food processing maintain a moisture level below 40%, that is low to intermediate moisture. High moisture extrusion is known as wet extrusion, but it was not used much before the introduction of twin screw extruders, which was more efficient conveying capability. The most important rheological factor in the wet extrusion of high starch extrudate is temperature. The amount of salt in the extrudate may determine the color and texture of some extruded products. The expansion ratio and airiness of the product depends on the salt concentration in the extrudate, possibly as a result of chemical reaction between the salt and the starches in the extrudate. Color changes as a result of salt concentration may be caused by the ability of salt to change the water activity of the extrudate and thus change the rate of the browning reactions. Salt is also used to distribute among the minor ingredients such as food colors and flavors after extrusion. These are more These are more evenly distributed over the product surface after being mixed with the salt. Now let us know about the ingredient mixture. Different mixtures of ingredients produce completely different products when the same operating conditions are used in the same extruder. This is because starch, proteins, moisture and other ingredients like oil or an emulsifier have different effects on the structure and texture of the extruded food. For example, starch or proteins create a three-dimensional structure that contains other ingredients. Then we have the starches from cereals or legume flours like wheat, rice, maize, barley, pea, beans, etc. and sometimes from tuber flours also like potato, cassava, tapioca, taro, etc. And all these are used for extruded breakfast cereal manufacturing, snack food manufacturing, pasta and biscuit manufacturing. Proteins from soya bean, sunflower seeds, rapeseed or gluten from wheat are used to make meat-like products such as texturized vegetable proteins. When making the extruded snack foods from cereal or potato starches, the process operates at high temperatures, which will be around 130 to 180 degrees centigrade, which will be capable of producing a fluid melt, thus containing the gelatinized starch and superheated water vapor. When this leaves the extruder, it expands to form hard, porous, brittle snack food product. Flavoring or coloring are sprayed onto the food after it is extruded. Snack foods can also be made from extruded preforms or half products. These are small, dense extruded pellets that are sold to the processors to make the final snack food by frying them, toasting them or roasting the pellets. When half products are heated, they soften and the residual moisture in the pellets turns to steam, which rapidly expands the pellets to produce the snack food. Then we also have the next category, that is the extruded weaning foods. The extruded weaning foods are produced as flakes or pellets from the mixture of cereal and legume flours that have the correct protein and energy content for the growing children. The extruded products may also be fortified with minerals and vitamins. In use, the products are ground to a powder and mixed with hot water to form a porridge that is fed to the children. The high temperatures used in extruder ensures that the product are safe and have a shelf life of more than 12 months when packed in moisture-proof and airtight packaging materials. The process is used for both commercial weaning foods and foods that are used as emergency or supplementary foods by the developmental agencies. Extrusion cooking is also used to produce sugar confectionery products such as licorice, toffee fudge, boiled sweets from sugar, glucose and starch. Hard-boiled sweets are produced from sugar and corn syrup with added colors, acids and flavors. They are extruded as a rope and made into the required shapes using stamping or forming machines. Energy consumption using an extruder to produce the confectionery is about half to that of used in boiling pans. Let us now see further extruded products. Extrusion has enabled the production of new processed food products and revolutionized many confectional snack manufacturing processes. The various types of foods manufactured by the extrusion typically have a high starch content. Directly expanded types include breakfast cereals, corn kernels, which are made in high temperatures, low moisture conditions under high shear. Then you have the unexpanded products, which includes pasta, which is produced at intermediate moisture, that is around 40% moisture and at low temperatures. Then you have the texturized products, which includes the meat analogs, which are made using plant proteins. For example, you have the texturized vegetable protein, and these are made using the plant proteins and a long die to impart a fibrous meat-like structure to the extrudate and the fish paste also. Confectionery is made via extrusion, which includes the chewing gum, licorice and toffees, etc. Some processed cheeses and cheese analogues are also made by extrusion technology. Processed cheeses extruded with low moisture and temperature might be better suited for manufacturing using the extrusion technology than the high moisture and temperature processes. Lower moisture cheeses are firmer and chewier, and cheddar cheese with low moisture and an extrusion temperature of 80 degrees centigrade was preferred by subjects in a study to other extruded cheddar cheese products under different conditions. An extruded mean residence time of about 100 seconds can produce processed cheeses or cheese analogues with varying textures and varying shapes and sizes also. Other food products which are often produced by extrusion include some breads like crotons, breadsticks, flatbreads, etc. and various ready-to-eat products are prepared. Then pre-made cookie doughs are prepared. Some baby foods are also prepared, and few beverages and dry and semi-moist pet foods are also made. Specific examples include macaroni, jelly beans, sevai and some kinds of French fries. Extrusion is also used to modify the starch and to pellet the animal feeds. After understanding the cold extrusion, hot extrusion and various kinds of products which can be prepared with extrusion technology, let us now move ahead and try to understand the effects of extrusion on the nutritional quality. Extrusion enables mass production of food via a continuous efficient system that ensures uniformity of the final product. This is achieved by controlling various aspects of extrusion processes. It has also enabled the production of new processed food products and revolutionized many confectional snack manufacturing processes also. The extrusion process results in chemical reactions which occur within the extruder barrel and at the die. And extrusion has got lots of effects on the nutritional quality. Some of the effects are destruction of certain naturally occurring toxins in the raw material through extrusion cooking. Another effect is reduction of microorganisms in the final product because of the heating temperatures in the barrel, due to which the microorganisms are destroyed and a safe food is coming at the outlet of the die. Then the third effect is slight increase of iron bioavailability due to extrusion cooking. Then other effects are creation of insulin desensitizing starches, which is a potential risk factor for developing diabetes, because a person consuming more amount of extruded foods probably could be faster in developing diabetes because of consuming huge amount of pre-gelatinized starches. Then another effect could be loss of lysine, which is an essential amino acid which is necessary for developmental growth and nitrogen management. And this occurs because of denaturation, which occurs at high temperatures in the extruder barrel. Another effect is simplification of complex starches, which increases the rates of tooth decay upon consumption of certain kinds of extruded foods. Another effect is increase of the glycemic index of the processed foods, as the extrusion process significantly increases the availability of carbohydrates for digestion because of the pre-gelatinization which occurs in the barrel at high temperatures. Then the next effect is destruction of vitamin A and beta carotene, which leads to reduced bioavailability of vitamin A and beta carotene. The last effect is denaturation of proteins. The material of which an extrusion die is made can also affect the final product. Compared to stainless steel dies, a pasta machine with bronze dies produce a rougher surface, and this is considered to give improved taste as it better retains the pasta sauces. Bronze dye pasta is labeled as such on retail packages to indicate it as a premium product. The effects of extrusion cooking on nutritional quality are ambiguous, as extrusion may change carbohydrates, dietary fiber, protein, amino acid profile, vitamins, and mineral content of the extrudate in a manner that is beneficial sometimes or harmful sometimes. High temperature extrusion for a short duration minimizes the loss in vitamins and amino acids. Extrusion enables mass production of some food and will denature the anti-nutritional factors such as destroying the toxins or by killing the microorganisms. It may also improve the protein quality and protein digestibility and affects the product shape, texture, color, flavor, etc. It may also cause fragmentation of proteins, fragmentation of starches, non-starch polysaccharides to create a reactive molecule that may form new linkages which are not found in the nature. And this includes Maillard reactions which reduce the nutritional value of the protein because of utilization of essential amino acids. Vitamins with heat liability may also be destroyed in extrusion cooking. Nutritional quality has been found to improve with moderate conditions like short duration, high moisture, low temperature, whereas a negative effect on the nutritional quality of the extrudate occurs with a high temperature of at least 200 degrees centigrade, low moisture with less than 15% moisture, or improper components in the mix. There are a lot of recent research publications which indicate the use of non-traditional cereal flours such as amaranth, buckwheat or millets etc., which may be used to reduce the glycemic index of breakfast cereals produced by extrusion. The extrudate using these cereal flours exhibit a higher bulk and product density and has similar expansion ratio and has had a significant reduction in readily digestible carbohydrates and slowly digestible carbohydrates. And another research work also states that replacing 5% to 15% of wheat flour and white flour with dietary fiber in the extruded breakfast cereal mix significantly reduces the rate and extent of carbohydrate hydrolysis of the extruded products, which increase the level of slowly digested carbohydrates and reduce the level of quickly digestible carbohydrates. So in today's topic, we have learnt about what is extrusion technology. We have seen what are the two types of extrusion technologies, that is cold technology and heat extrusion technology or the extrusion cooking. We have also seen the types of extruders for cold extrusion and the type of extruders for the hot extrusion, that is twin screw extruder and single screw extruder. We have also learnt about the effect of extrusion on the nutritional quality parameters, and we have also seen about the recent research which is indicating a change in some kinds of components to improve the nutritional value of the extruded products. For further information on extrusion technology, you can refer to exclusive textbooks which are available on extrusion cooking or extrusion technology in food processing. Thank you.